Hello everybody. Sorry it's been such a long time since I've made a video. It's been a real crazy summer this year. Some of it good, some of it not so good. And I thought I would do a little thing on the summer of 2012 so far and talk a little bit about what's going on, and also basically talk about well, first let me explain. I loaned my computer out to a friend to do some work, and so I'm working with my old computer, which only uploads about 7-minute videos. So every 7 minutes I'm going to get up and turn you off and turn you back on, so my apologies for that. But anyway, I want to just talk about 2012. Now, in 2011 we built a school. For those who don't know, we went out and built ourselves a school, and it took a lot of time and a lot of effort to get that school up and running. Another thing it took was a lot of money, and to help pay off our debt that we got, it occurred from making this school, building it to how our standards. We wanted it to be off-grid. We wanted it to be a place that in an emergency people could come to, and it could be an emergency shelter as well as an education center. And to help us pay off this cost, we basically we teach classes, but we also rent it out to other educators, and all of this just keeps it in use all the time and keeps it making money. And it's working out pretty good. We're paying off our debt very quickly. I know some of you probably hated the movie, The Hunger Games, but I had never even heard of it, but I have to admit that The Hunger Games really helped our school out a lot. Brought in, once that movie came out, we cannot get enough classes going into teaching people self-sufficiency skills and wildlife skills and things like that. Anyway, but right after we got the school going, we had a meeting for the educators in November of 2011, and it was just a weekend kind of get together for educators in about a 500-mile radius all the way around us. And we had a lot of educators. Between 40 and 50 people came and went through our facility, and anyway, one of the things, and it was I have to admit, probably one of my better weekends in my life. I think if I had to do a top 100, it was probably in the top 100 weekends of my life, and it was a good time. It was really great to be with a bunch of people that held similar beliefs on self-sufficiency, on survival, on nature, things like that. So people that had, because of their ability to take care of themselves, no longer were so reliant and therefore so brainwashed by society. And that's a really neat thing to be with. Even if it's only for about 48 hours, it was really neat to be with. And got to be the Saturday night, second night that we were all together, and we had a cocktail night where we all sat around and passed the bottle. No, not really, but we sat around, had a few drinks, and that kind of helps loosen people up a little bit. And we started talking about different subjects, and one of the subjects that comes up a lot of times when you're talking with people who are independent or teaching independent skills is 2012. I'm sure before Y2K, before the year 2000, they talked about that. After 9/11, they talked about that. Well, we were coming up, it was in November of 2011, we were coming up on the year 2012. And we got around to talking about, what do you think is going to happen? And of course, you ask 50 people in a room what they think is going to happen in the future, and you're going to get 200 different answers. And this was no different. And one of the young ladies that was there, there was everything from nothing, it's all hype, to space aliens, to we're all going to be able to do whatever we want, to California is going to drop off the face of the planet, to, I mean, it's just, there was a whole lot of different things. And of course we had been drinking, so some of them were done just in jest. but one of the young ladies there, she made the comment, she said, well, I think 2012 will be the year we enter back into reality, that we have stepped so far away from reality in the way we live our lives, in our religious values. You know, it used to be the teachings of our religious teachers kept us grounded in reality, and now they seem to take us away from reality. And she said that, you know, I think 2012 will be the year that we're going to get into reality. And my response to that was, can't be done in a year. 7 minutes, back in a second. You'll have to forgive me for squinting at you. I put you guys to the south so that the sun wouldn't be shining in the camera, which means it's shining in my eyes. So anyway, we'll go on from here. I made the comment that you couldn't do it in a year. It has taken us many, many, many generations to get away from reality. It used to be people grew most of their own food, and they repaired their own stuff when it got broken, and they didn't buy. They weren't addicted to society's rules because they lived by their own rules. And anyway, I said that it took several generations for us to get so brainwashed. It's going to take several generations for us to unbrainwash ourselves. And I said we have to get to the point where we want to go back to basics and get away from the whole kind of, you know, way out, far out things, and just ground ourselves back to the earth and back to the reality of what we can and cannot do, and find the sacred in both our limitations and our power. And I said that's it. We have to want that, and people don't want it. People want instant gratification. Because of the way society is set up, we have stopped maturing right around the age of 7 to 9. We're those little kids that walk through the grocery store going, please, please, give me. We want that instant gratification. And then when it's given to us, we don't think of a thank you. We just say, oh, I deserved that. Most people don't have the ability to realize that, especially in the modern world, in the more industrial worlds, we don't have we don't realize how lucky we are. We're always angry because somebody else has more than we do, and we're willing to give up our power to other people so that we can remain in this infantile state. And I said it's going to take us generations to get over this. And this woman said, well, not if we have. Well, she says, well, if we had an Arab Spring here. And I said, well, the Arab Spring happened, and a lot of people don't realize this because the media never tells us this, but a lot of people don't realize that the Arab Spring happened because northern Africa gets most of its grain from Russia. And a couple years ago, Russia shut down its grain export because they had a drought. And the U.S. picked up this grain export. So our grain farmers got more money because we got to take the place of Russia's wheat. So the U.S. didn't feel the pain of that drought, but everybody else did. And because there was less grain on the market, this meant the price of grain went up. And in Africa, it went way up because they always had Russian grain, and now if they could get grain, they paid extra for U.S. grain or Chinese grain or wherever it came from. They had to pay extra for it. And in a society that is based on social economics, meaning basically if you have enough money and or you know the right people, you get to eat, you get to have a house, you get to, we have been brainwashed into believing this is how society works. You get to survive if you have enough money and or you know the right people. And in northern Africa, suddenly these people, because of the socioeconomic way we live our lives, people couldn't eat, period, end of story. Their food went from being about 40% of their income, which we cannot fathom here in the U.S., to being 60% of their income, which means they had to choose literally. Middle-class people in northern Africa had to choose literally between eating or paying rent, or eating or driving. You know, that eating became number one, and they revolted. take away people's food and they will revolt. And this woman, she says, you know, that's all we need is to take away the American food supply. And I said, well, that's pretty damn hard, because America is a very vast country that has a good amount of farmland left. Not as much as it used to have, but it's still got a good amount of farmland left. And it would take a nationwide disaster, like a big hurricane that hit the entire nation, or a big wall of tornadoes that hit us all. I said, to destroy our food crop, or to knock it down to unacceptable levels. Yep, about 7 minutes, back in a minute. We knew something was up throughout the winter of 2011-2012. It was a hot, dry winter. And in winter, that's a pretty good thing to have. You don't have a ton of snow you got to shovel. You're not wading through waist-deep snow to get out to your livestock. Come spring and the maple season normally starts in March in this area, mid to late March. Started in January. It started in January. If you were not tapping your trees in January, you were not going to have a maple season. We had a great maple season, but a lot of people waited till that March date because they used the human calendar instead of nature's calendar. And when we were doing that, I said it's going to be a bad year for crops. But I had no idea how bad it was going to be. And so I thought I'd bring you out here. We're sitting in a cornfield, and I thought I'd bring you out. This corn here should be close to 8 to 10 feet tall, this corn. And you can see some of it is getting up to 4 feet tall, but it can't set ears. The ears are literally blistering. Well, first of all, there is no ears. I'm going to come get you guys and take you and show you the corn. Because of how dry it is, corn can't set ears. It can't go to tassel. It can't set ears, which means it can't. Here's a bigger one. You can see there's no. By now there should be tassels. We're not even slightly tasseled out. And this corn is in a very wet place. Over here on the other side, this dry here, that's a pond. There's no water. In fact, we got the backhoe out, dug 4.5 feet down before it started perking. So, I mean, that's how dry it is. 4.5 feet down where a pond normally is before we hit the water table. But this corn is gone. It's lost. And there's a great deal of farmers out there that are this bad, if not worse. And this is 2/3 of the nation is right now in this dry of conditions. See how this corn is rolled up? The leaves are rolled up and pointing at the sky. That's the way it's trying to protect itself from the drying effects. We have not had rain since May 6th. It's now second half of July. There is no nationwide natural disaster that can strike except a drought. And one of us, or some of us should have, I'm a student of history, we should have known that. I mean, look, this hill here the corn is nothing. We're getting down into the lower areas here. So that's where I'm heading, but to show you that corn. But this corn is literally nothing. There's nothing to it. We're on our way. We're very close to the record for number of 90 degrees or above days, and we are at the record for 100 degree and above days. We have not had rain. We are in a drought, and we are in one of the easier droughts. There are places that have had even less rain than we have. This is where your food comes from, people, right here. I know somebody's like, oh no, I don't eat corn. You'd be amazed at what you eat that has corn in it, okay? You will be amazed at what will happen when the corn crop is destroyed. Right now it's estimated that 3 to 7% hike. There's going to, at this moment, if we were to get rain now, it would be a 3 to 7% hike in food costs in the next 2 years because of the drought. that's not to say if gas prices don't go up, the fuel will cost us more. You know, if more people need grain, right at this moment, 3 to 7% rise in your food cost. And in a socioeconomic society such as ours, this means starvation to the lower half. There are already people right now living hand to mouth, living from paycheck to paycheck. And they're going to have to find more money for less food. I mean, look, this corn should be tasseled out. There should be little mini ears on it. Nothing. This field is completely, I mean, it's corn is a modified grass, and that's what we're doing right now, is walking through a field of grass. There is not an ear of corn out here. I don't even see a tassel. I was going to start making my way, and we're in a low area. This is probably my best cornfield I have. Good black soil here. Good black dirt. And I just want you to, I mean, there's not a drop of water in it. I could dig and dig and dig, and there's just no water in here. This is dry as a bone. No rain since May 6th. No rain in sight. No rain in sight. I'm a meteorologist. I can't, and so I can go further than the 10 days on the Weather Channel, and I can't see any rain in sight. Food prices are going to go up, and we're going to have to come back to the reality of life, that food doesn't just appear on the grocery shelf. It comes from fields like this. Whole tomato crops gone. They're gone already. They've been plowed under. That people have just plowed it under. And because the soil is so dry, if you don't have the crops at least sitting on it, it's blowing away. And I don't know how to explain it to people who aren't into reality. I don't know how to explain to people that dream time is over. You gotta wake up and smell the coffee. And the coffee is, we need frickin' rain. And I'm not, again, not just talking about us. The nation as a whole needs frickin' rain. Or we're going to find out what an Arab Spring is. Because when people don't have food, they will riot. They will start blaming everybody, except obviously the people they probably should blame, which is people who decided to change the way we raise our crops into this mass like this so that we could feed a mass of people. But look at this. This corn here, which is in very, very, very low area, is tall. It could put up a lot, but there's not a tassel on them. Not a tassel. I'm looking inside to see if there's a tassel inside, and there's not. Hold it. Way deep down, am I feeling a tassel? I'm trying to find here. I'm still going way deep down in. There's a tassel. See, that's what should be showing way up above. This tassel here should be way up above this corn, and that's the pollen, and then that drips down on the ears. There's no ears for it to drip down on if it could, but that's what should be showing. And it's not. It's not. There's going to be no corn crop here on this farm. Now I can take the hit financially. I have insurance. This will all become silage, so I can feed my animals. There will be a glutton of meat that hits the market. Oh, look, see here. That's what this should look like, except much taller, with little ears of corn on it. And the ears of corn by now should be 4 or 5 inches long. They should have silk. The silk is, of course, what catches the pollen that comes down off of those. I'm looking here, and there's no ears, nothing. And if there were ears, because of the heat, they would literally bake. It would kill the seed off because it would bake it. A lot of the wild plants, their seeds are being killed off. Anyway, it boils down to, this is going to be a problem. This, once joined a survival site where they asked you if you've ever been in a hurricane or a forest fire or anything like that, and now I look at that and I think how silly it is. At the time I thought, no, I've never been in a hurricane, but I've been in forest fires and I've been in this and I've been in that. But I've been through tornadoes and things like that. But nationwide, on a national level, the drought, we have suffered more from droughts than we have from any other natural disaster. And we are about, if we don't get rain, I don't want to be like doom and gloom and say we're screwed. But if we don't get rain, we're about to realize another bit of natural disaster. We're about to realize how bad a natural disaster actually can be. But anyway, this is the year 2012, and for some people who have lived in this la-la land of movies and books and things like that, 2012 may be the beginning of the entry back into reality. And it's not going to be a pleasant entry. Maybe time for people to wake up and realize that, you know, for me, this is going into silage. But I'm still going to have, my hay crop is gone. So that means 1/3 of my livestock has to be liquidated. Fancy way of saying I got to butcher 1/3 of my livestock, or else the whole lot of them are going to starve to death this winter. This is the reality, and I have a small farm. There's going to be a glutton of meat when this happens. This fall, when all the farmers realize how much they can actually afford to keep, they're going to slaughter all the rest of their animals, and all of that meat's going to hit the market all at once. And it's going to bring the meat prices down. And this is, again, if we don't get any rain. And I'm not just talking Wisconsin, I'm talking the nation as a whole doesn't get rain. And it takes about 2 years to recover from a bad year. So this is going to go on 2013 and 2014. We won't know how bad 2012 is until the grain harvest. Wheat harvest came out pretty good. So now we're looking at corn and soybean harvest. And we won't know how bad it is until that harvest. And, I mean, it just, I can't see how it can be anything but bad. I've never seen a corn crop this bad, and I started farming in the drought of '88. I mean, I came back from college in '87 and started farming in '88, and I thought how bad that was. And this is 10 times worse. We have not had rain since May 6th. There is no water left in this land. So anyway, 2012 May, I always find out, I laugh because I did a video this year and I talked about the slippery elm bark and how the slippery elm tree produces seeds before we know it's going to be a stress year, because it's the year that the slippery elm bark produces, or the slippery elm tree produces seeds, and it is a stress year. We are in a drought, and it is taking everything we have to get through it. And that's fine. If you can find the sacred, finding the sacred when you get to sit on your butt and go to Walmart or Costco to buy your food, and you get to, you know, work 8 hours and then sit on your butt, and I mean, that's easy to find the sacred. It's easy to find God when you got a good life. But it may be a little bit more difficult. So this is the time that we have to kind of see where we can find the sacred. Because these are going to be the trying times if we don't get rain. Don't want to play this doom and gloom thing, but we need rain. We need rain. We need rain. Get out there and do all your rain dances. Wash your cars. Leave laundry on the line. Roll all your windows down. Leave some expensive equipment outside. Do what it takes. Because in the end, this is going to be, if we don't get rain, this is going to be a 3-year recovery. And 2012 may be the entry for all these people stepping back into reality.